I'm over here dancing to my own intro music. Dun, 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 dun. It's an 80s dance party.
Oh yeah, wrong here. Sorry.
There's a more trance, like Right House. Little more ravey.
Yeah, a little more ravey.
What's up, Breezy?
What up?
How's everybody tonight? Welcome to our paranormal world where we're just going to talk all kinds of crap tonight.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's like it's going to be paranormal gumbo, I think. We'll talk about Dogman and Bigfoot and conspiracy theories because I was all up on that Dulce-based stuff. And we can talk about how the government for the second time confirmed UFOs are real and the population's like, meh, okay.
Dude, did you see that recent footage of the where they confirmed the underwater aliens at that? It was like on a cruise ship or whatever.
Yeah, like they're coming out of the oceans.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Right? And I swear, I was talking to my husband about this over the weekend because, we drove out to do some research out in God's country, Texas. And on the way out there, we were talking about, because my husband's Chris is way into UFOs or UAPs or whatever you're calling them now. And we were discussing, right, the hearings were going on and they were essentially admitting that, everything's real. And they're coming out of oceans and all that. And he was like, yeah, I just lost my train of thought completely where I was going with that. Anyway, we were discussing it on the way in and how crazy it is that everything is for the second time, the government's like, yeah, they're there. And the population just shrugs its shoulders and keeps moving on.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 years ago, we would have collectively lost our minds if something like that had been revealed.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? I mean, and nowadays, I don't know what it is, but, the community as a whole is like, yeah, no, we know. Thanks.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the collective. We've already been knowing it. Y'all just told us we were crazy, kind of a thing. Same with weather manipulation or whatever. Is like, no, those aren't contrails. Those are, and they're like, no, it's not. Nah. And then now they're like, oh yeah, we've been doing it. We're like, yeah, we know.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No shit.
It's something new.
Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. Yeah. So talking about them controlling the weather, there's something that, I mean, they're called storm busters, I think. Cloud busters. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can build them yourself and put them in your backyard. Yep. And I think I just found out about those. Those are so cool. Within the last 6 months, I found out about those.
Yep. Put big donuts in the freaking clouds that they're making. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's a legitimate storm, it's not going to do it. But if it's a seeded cloud, I guess it will disperse the weather, which is cool because it's crazy. And I just thought that it was the way the light was coming through the clouds. But anyway, there's some days where it's overcast and I get the worst headaches. And I'm not a headache person. I'm not, but just being in that light. And I was just thinking it's got to be that it's overcast and the way the light's coming through the clouds or something. It's messing with my eyes and it's giving me a headache. I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, no. There's days where I'll be in the shop all day, closed in, and have no problems. And then, as soon as I go to leave and lock up, as soon as I hit the outside air, it's sinuses kick in, headache kicks in, But I'm like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, no, they're doing something. Something funky's going down. It's the funky cold Medina.
It's the funky something, but yeah. So I'm kind of tempted to get one of those, just stick it in my backyard
Heck
and
yeah.
see if that helps with like my headaches, right? From like
Right.
the overcast days that are probably government caused. Like the government's causing the overcast days that are giving me headaches and
Sinus issues, all 9 yards. Yeah.
government's out to get me.
They're doing it, man, between the nanoplastics.
The government. I need to borrow Randy's tinfoil hat.
For real.
What'd you do?
What's that?
What'd you do this weekend?
Nothing much, really. I've been fighting, last 2 weeks, I've been fighting a weird sleep schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I go to bed at, like, the normal time that I used to go to bed at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning. Then I wake up at, like, 5:30. Can't go back to sleep, but I got to go to work at 11:30. And so I don't even start getting, like, good REM sleep until, like, about 10. So it's like I'm basically getting, like, 1 hour of good sleep. And I can't break the freaking cycle. And I know why. It's because I lightened up on my drinking and everything. So, like, I don't know how to sleep. I only know how to pass out.
I think you've told me that before.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So, like, even like tonight, I was like, I got off of work and I was like, dude, I'm freaking just drained, And I slept. So I told you earlier I drink a Monster and I was waiting for it to kick in. If you see Breezy drinking a Monster after noon, something's going down.
Right?
I don't. Like Jen can drink like 3 or 4 a day. She'll drink one before she goes to bed. She drinks a Red Bull, but whatever. But yeah, like I don't do energy drinks and stuff like that. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
So they affect you. The caffeine affects you?
Well, it's just that I don't feel any need for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if I'm having like a hangover, or I'm like just really tired in the morning, sure, I'll grab one on the way to work. But, if not, then, once I'm up, I'm up. But I don't know, something about the way my sleep schedule's been off. I just feel like crap.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Yeah.
So thank you, Scott, for the $10. That's so awesome. I appreciate it. I love seeing you in here every week. And tonight, you guys, we'll get back to Joe's sleep schedule here because I've got to add to that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about topics that all y'all in the chat are bringing up. It's listener night on OPW because I had something going on. Like my stepmother passed away over the weekend. It was very sudden. And I've got all of this going on in my head. I forgot to plan a show. So, and I'm not going to be doing one next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving and I'm like where I'm set up currently is going to be full of food and people. So I'm not going to be doing a show next Thursday. So I wanted to get one in tonight. So y'all, like whatever y'all want to talk about, please just throw it in the chat and Breezy and I will grab that subject and we will run with it. But getting back to Breezy's, sleep schedule that stinks. I know you've been battling that for a while, but it's interesting that you're talking about the Monster. And I know that you said it doesn't necessarily affect you. The caffeine doesn't affect you, but it's interesting that caffeine does affect some people like way more than others, because I had this conversation with Tex over the weekend and because I was out, doing an investigation with Tex in the front porch, some of the front porch people. And he and I were talking, he can't have like caffeinated coffee after a certain time, or he will just he just like vibrates through his day. Where I could drink 2 cups of coffee and a Red Bull and promptly turn around and fall asleep. So I don't know. I feel like I'm the odd one out for that one. Like, I don't know what that says about my body and how it
Well,
works.
yeah. So Jen's the same way. She can literally slam a Red Bull before bed. I mean, I could probably slam a Monster before bed. It wouldn't bother me. Caffeine use, or especially when energy drinks first came out, they never bothered me, like at all. And then we were going to record a session in Houston for our album. And they had these things called Monster BFCs, stands for big friggin' can. But they were like, it was like a 40 ounce, but it was an aluminum can. And I was like, well, energy drinks don't affect me. So, I slammed that all the way to Houston. And by the time I got to Houston, I was zooted like nobody's business. Like, so they make me jittery, but they don't really wake me up, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So yeah, but they do. Like after I drink one, I'm like, I'm like jittery. I got the jitters, but
That's interesting. Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is because I like the Monsters because it has a lot of sugar. So sugar will actually do more for me than caffeine. If I have a headache, caffeine helps. Because that's why, like they say, like remember Excedrin?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the difference between Excedrin and the regular aspirin and Tylenol, because it had caffeine in it. Yeah.
Well, it dilates your blood vessels and allows the blood to flow a little easier. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll buy that factor, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't really affect me too much.
Thanks, Rob. Rob said, "Congrats on getting monetized." Monica Money One. Monetized. On this channel, it's monetized. You got to work on getting Breezy there.
Yeah, breezy-catized.
Breezy-tized. Breezy.
Oh, no, we do that.
Abbreviated. But yeah, so the only time that I've ever been affected by caffeine, and I was shocked that it did it to me. So we all know that I work in construction, and I built this bagel shop, right? And I love it. I love the owner. It's Shug's Bagels in Dallas. If you guys are ever in Dallas, there's one on Mockingbird Lane in 75. And there's one on Lemon Avenue in Dallas. Check it out. He just finished one, or he's about to finish one in New Orleans. So we're going to go check it out. It might still be under construction while we're there, but I'm going to go. He'll give me the code to get in. I want to go see. And we're getting ready. We're bidding one down in Austin. So I might be working down in Austin. But anyway, I love him. They're the best bagels. He does it New York style. It's wonderful. And he's got, I don't know where he gets his coffee. I'm going to have to ask him. It's the strongest coffee on the surface of this planet. I am sure of it. It's like Greek coffee. It is so strong. And I've had Greek coffee. I don't like the taste of it, but it is strong also. But this stuff, it doesn't taste like Greek coffee, but dang, is it potent. It is like the most caffeinated, like hopped up coffee ever. So if you are ever in Dallas, you need to be woken up in the morning. Swing by Shug's Bagels, grab a coffee. If you are sensitive to caffeine, get a small and check it out. Because it will wake you up, you'll get a good bagel. But I mean, I drank a coffee because, if you're building restaurants, especially something simple like bagels, the second one, he's like, oh no, like get some coffee. They weren't cooking because we didn't have a CO, but they could like test out their liquid, like the coffee. So they were brewing coffee, and my site manager is a coffee drinker. So he's like, oh yeah, get a coffee from Justin. So I went in, and Justin, he's like, oh yeah, just, we had a coffee. Dang. I was like driving back to the office, like, oh, I've never had that feeling before. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah. See, so on the coffee thing, because I used to have this buddy when I worked at um, the plant that I worked at. He used to bring in these. They were chocolate covered espresso beans, and there's
Mm.
each one was supposed to be like 2 shots of espresso or something. Like they were like mad powerful, and they used to like kind of like make like a test. They'd be like, let's see how many Breezy can do. And I'd be like, eat like 3 or 4 of them. And I'm like, what's the big freaking deal? I don't know what. They're like, dude, you ate like 3, kind of like kids with other substances. But, these are just coffee beans. And they're like, dude, you see how many he did? And I'm like, dude, it's caffeine, bro. I'm like, it's not
Yeah,
that
but
big
let me
of a
tell
deal.
you, getting juped up on coffee when you're not used to it, like I was like dang near in the cold sweats. I was like holding on to the steering wheel, like I don't like this feel. Like I was like driving to
Right.
work, like back to the office, thinking, and I was because I drink a lot of liquid. I drink water, coffee. Like I need to be constantly drinking something. And that's all I had in my car. And I was like, man, I don't want any more of that. I don't want any more.
I don't. I'm good. Cut me off.
I don't want any more.
No, the only reason coffee gets to me is A, because it's hot, so that wakes me up, and B, because right after that, there's entire bathroom breaks involved, and I'm like, okay, now I'm awake.
Well, that'll wake you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't affect me like that. It doesn't like coffee doesn't affect me like it affects my husband like that. Let me tell you what.
Yeah. No, I got it's like a ticking time bomb. I'm like, all right, drink a cup of coffee. I've got about 15 minutes to find.
That must be a man thing because Chris is the same way.
Yeah.
He's the same way. Yeah, he's like, I just had 2 cups of coffee. We can't go far for a little bit.
Right. Find me a Buc-ee's or a QT Mart.
Yeah, like
somewhere with a clean bathroom.
Like if we've got to go somewhere, he's got to stop drinking coffee like at least a half an hour before we're supposed to be out the door.
Yeah.
Cafe Du Monde. So they're talking about New Orleans coffee. So they put chicory in New Orleans coffee, and that's what gives it the unique flavor. I don't like New Orleans coffee because I do not like the flavor of chicory.
What the hell is chicory?
It's something that makes a coffee taste funky. That's all I know. I think I'm not kidding. I really think it's a kind of like bark because it's like wood. That's what it tastes like. I'm sure it's a plant, but it's a chicory. It's a plant. Yeah. But it gives it to me, it's like a weird bitter taste.
Ain't that like an old school thing? Chicory D, chicory do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very southern. Very southern. So let's talk about all the weird ass things that you and I know about. Because what are we talking about on your show tomorrow night? Conspiracy theories?
Yeah, I'm going to do conspiracy. I'm going to continuation of what I was going to do last week, but I forgot that whole freaking Tyson fight. And I'd already, like weeks in advance, I'd already made plans with my buddy. And he's like, we're going to go watch it together and drink a bunch of scotch and smoke cigars and watch the, boxing match. And he's got like a personal movie theater, like with movie theater seats.
Nice. Heck.
Yeah. So I was like, he hit me up like an hour or 2 before it was time to get off of work. And he's like, you're still coming out, right? And I was like, dude, I forgot about it. And I felt bad for leaving you off the hook about it because I hit you up. I'm like, dude, I don't think it's going to freaking end before it's time to go on. And so, yeah, long story short, so disappointed in it. But
yeah, we didn't even see the Tyson fight because we had to go to sleep because I was supposed to go out and meet Tex Friday night. But then I was like, no, because it would have been just too, like having to go to work and then drive back up here and get Lucas and then take him back down to Dallas and then just pack. It was too much. So I was like, well, just go down Saturday morning. And I was like, when that works out, because then I can, do Breezy's show with him. But I still had to pack and everything. And yeah, we ended up going to sleep since we weren't doing the show, going to bed pretty early because I wanted to get up early to head out into the field. It was like I heard ridiculous, kind of silly.
Dude, yeah, we might be able to touch on that for the conspiracy part tomorrow. But yeah, I saw some stuff in there that I was like, because we're like sitting there watching it, and I kind of preempted myself for it. So I started watching like the little documentary thing that came on. It was like a 3-piece. And I started like getting into watching because, okay, so I don't really care about boxing at all. I don't care about sports. I'm not a sports dude. I don't care about football, baseball, basketball, none of that crap. But it was the Gen X in me that was like, I want to see, my Gen X best of the best against, Gen Z. And I want to see them get knocked the F out, and be like, yeah, Gen X on top. You know what I mean? So to me, that was my motivation. But whenever I was watching the training videos and stuff, and then watching what actually happened afterwards was two totally different things. And it was very, very disappointing. And it just came to reinforce my opinion about most sports. Like me and my brother that passed, we used to always argue. And he'd be like, who are you going for the Super Bowl? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it's all rigged. I don't care. He'd be like, what? Super Bowl's not rigged? And I'm like, dude, it's rigged. All of it's rigged. All of it's rigged. Like,
Earth is flat. There is no outer space, and all of the sports on Earth are rigged.
It's all fake. It just depends on who they want to win. And so but it reinforced a lot of that. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's because in the very first, just to touch down on it real quick, in the very first round, like Tyson comes out like actually like like working it. Yeah, and then dude, like he gets smacked a couple good times and he like wraps him up and he like talks in his ear. He's like basically to me saying, dude, chill out, man. This is exhibition. We're making money here. We're not here to knock each other out, kind of a thing. And then like Tyson like taps him on the back, and then after that it's all defense from Tyson, and he's not like going in there and doing like he used to do, like the microwave fights that we were used to in the 80s and 90s, where you just just pop somebody out and that was it. It's a story. So it was exhibition, and whatever.
Did you see the meme where it was showing? I don't even know the name of the fighter who fought Tyson. He was
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
So it was Jake Paul fighting like Dick Van Dyke. It's like the next one. Like he's just going around beating up elderly people.
Yeah. No, I saw a funny one. It was like the next one is gonna be like Jake Paul versus Ric Flair. I was like, that's pretty freaking funny.
That is pretty funny.
Woo!
Woo! Oh gosh, Ric Flair. I was forced to watch a documentary on him.
That if it's the one I think it is, it was a pretty good documentary. I can't front.
It was decent, but I'm not into it like my husband is. So I was.
Well, you didn't watch wrestling like back in the what do they call that? The golden era, like when Hulk Hogan, like 80s and.
No, I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I watched it back then doesn't mean I want to watch documentaries about it anymore.
Okay.
Not everything from my childhood needs to be revisited in my adult years.
Okay,
I mean, I guess I'm over 50, so technically I'm in my golden years. I don't want to revisit everything.
Yeah. No, yeah, Tito said the girls fought with heart. Yeah, the girls match, like that was serious. That was like you could tell there was something behind that. Like they were fighting for
Well, okay, let me
attitude.
just explain that like women have to come out like actually doing something. Like dudes in a dude's like typical world can like be like, yeah, okay, like let's go. And girls have got to go in there like 10 times more aggressive to make a point.
Right.
So yeah, they had to come out like fighting for their lives.
But that chick, like she got her eyebrow split open to where you could have put a prosthetic eyeball in that thing. Like that's how big that hole was. It was freaking gnarly. Like I was like, holy crap, dude. Like that's gonna need 8 to 10 stitches easy.
Well, I mean, that's a risk you run. Like beating the crap out of each other. Guess what? Somebody's gonna need stitches. You and the needle and the lidocaine are going to get real used to each other. Monica, I saw a person one evening driving down a road along a river. Okay, hold on. Scott saw something. Woohoo! All right, Scott. Scott says, let me put that up there so we can all read what'll share with the class, Scott. Monica, I saw a little person one evening driving down a road along a river about 2 a.m. This thing was about 2 feet tall, wore a dark cloak, and it was crunched down as I drove past. Any idea? So all you saw, okay, so I've got follow-up questions, Scott. So you drove past it. It was 2 feet tall, dark cloak, hunched over. You didn't see, like, did it cover its head completely? And what color was the cloak? And did it look at you? Did it notice you? Or was it just walking along the road? So those are my questions back to you, because I've got a whole bunch of possibilities that it could have been. Probably, almost definitely a fae would be my guess. And what color was the cloak? Like, was it like probably hard to tell. I don't know if your lights illuminated it. See, I was lucky when I saw mine because it was walking near a light source, so it was illuminated. So I could see pretty well. So it was facing away from me. The cloak was dark gray and it covered its head. Okay. So there's not a lot to go by. Did you get any weird feelings, or was it just you watching something with a cloak walk by? You didn't get any feelings from it? It didn't stop and turn and look at you? You didn't get a profile of its face? Where did I see my fae? In Texas, Cali? Yeah, no, it was in East Texas. It was in a place, I'm not going to tell people where it was in East Texas. It was about a half an hour from my house when I lived in East Texas. It is a Corps of Engineers campground, and it had a lot of activity. I had a phantom car roll up on me there. I had something shadowing me in the woods where if I walked, it would walk. I'd stop, it would stop. And it was bipedal for sure. And I don't know if that was a Bigfoot, because there are Bigfoot sightings out in that area, or if it was a dog man, because I got to tell you, there was something in those woods that was not okay. Because I got stuck at the front gate once, which was about a half a mile from the campsites. And I started, no big deal. I'll walk down the roads to get there. It was about 1 a.m. None of the roads are lit. There's sporadic lights. There's a light obviously at the gate. And then going down this dark road, there's sporadic lights as you're going down, but there's a lot of darkness in between. I don't care. I'll walk in the dark. But I got about 3 feet outside of that circle of light and I freaked out. I got the worst feeling, and there was something there. There was something, there was something there with me. And I hustled my butt right back into that light and stood there and debated with myself internally. Am I being ridiculous? Why am I not, like, just walk down the road, dummy? Like, why are you suddenly scared to walk down a road? And I tried to do it again, got the same feeling, went right back into the light and got back in my truck and was like, forget it. I kept trying to call the people that were at camp until I was finally able to get a cell phone connection, and somebody came and picked me up because I couldn't get past the front gate. So that was freaky. But all of this happened in this one area. I saw the little person, little thing.
Yeah, if the feeling hits for no reason, that's, like they always say, trust your gut. You know what I mean?
Always trust your gut. Yeah. Like, and if it comes on strong like that, yeah. And Scott says, and it gave me an evil vibe. Yeah. So if it gave you an evil vibe, Scott, it was Faye. It was Faye for sure. Now, I can't tell you what kind because a lot of them are about that size. The cloak doesn't really give me much to go by, unfortunately. But, yeah, I mean, definitely not one you want noticing you. So it's probably good that it didn't turn around and look at you and it didn't focus its, attentions on you. Because trust me, that's really not what you want, especially if it's giving you that kind of vibe.
True. I'll sub to that.
Monica. Are there particular areas in Texas that are known for fairy sightings? Fae sightings? No. I mean, not that I've encountered. I just happened to run across this one. But I think that anywhere that is still wild and natural is going to be more likely to have fae inhabitants. They're going to be drawn to those areas for obvious reasons. If you're off in the far corners of the woods, if you're at places where humans don't typically go, I think that you have a better chance of running across them. This past weekend, Tex and I touched on it a little bit during the Night Owl show. I think it was Monday night, Tuesday night. I can't remember. We did a Night Owl the other night, and we just touched a little bit on this area that we were in over the weekend. He calls it Dogman Ranch because the property owners are seeing a lot of dogmen out there. And it's 1,700 acres of private land. And we were out like down some deep roads behind locked gates to get to where we were. And the property owner was out there with us, and we were at an old homestead site from the early 1900s. And the family that lived there all passed away. We believe it was Spanish flu that took the entire family out. And the home itself is no longer standing. You can see the foundation of it, but the home itself is literally scattered all across this field. To me, it looks like a tornado hit because there's brick, like ridiculous, and stone, ridiculous distances from where the foundation is. It's not like people just picked it up and walked it over there. I mean, it's literally scattered all over. So I think that a tornado came and took it out. That's my thought. They don't know. But anyway, the family is supposedly buried under one of the trees over in the grove, but on the opposite side of this plot of land, not where the family's allegedly buried, but on the other side of the property, the landowner and one of the guys that was with us, Gary, we call him Pops, noticed that, and the landowner's wife noticed that one of the trees on the tree line was glowing, like it was acting peculiar in that manner. So I was off in the grove trying to find this family's burial site. Chris was with me and Randy was with me, and we wandered over to where everybody else was, and they pointed out this tree in the tree line. And it was interesting in that the tree line was like, the trees within the tree line are sporadic, right? So there's gaps between the trees. But there was this one area where this tree looked like it was glowing. The area itself looked like a canopy, almost like an archway, like we'll call it a portal. That's what I called it, because that's what it looked like an archway that was darker than the rest of the tree line. And in the center of that was what looked like the trunk of a tree that was lighter than everything else. It looked like it was glowing. That's what it looked like from across the field. And, Gary and the landowner are getting very bad vibes off of this. I didn't feel anything particular myself. I would normally walk straight into that, and I started to, and Chris started to, and Randy started to, and the landowner and Gary started really, I don't want to say throwing a fit, but they were really don't go over there, stop, don't go any farther. They were really adamant that we didn't go any farther because of what they were feeling. So everybody stopped, and I started taking pictures, and I was blowing them up. And it's interesting because you can kind of see the area that I'm talking about where it's like an archway that's darker than the rest. You can see where it looks like there's a tree trunk that's glowing. And when I blow it up, it looks interesting, right? It's making the light's making an interesting pattern. But because the other people were very adamant that we don't go any closer to it. So we were, respected it. I didn't feel anything, but if somebody says they are, I'm not here to tell you you're not. And I respect that you're feeling something. So, okay. So we ended up going to locate Tex because he had hoofed it down the road by himself. He did a little solo investigation further down the dirt road. And that was interesting. And the property, the reason I'm mentioning this with Faye is because that seemed like what people have called fairy portals. You might have seen it referenced in places. On the internet, it's getting really popular for people to call things fairy portals and point out fairy portals. And that's what I would have just by visual reference called a fairy portal. And the property owner had told Tex that there was fae activity on the land, but I didn't get any information beyond just that he had said that there was fae activity. And I really didn't get an opportunity to ask him further questions about that. But we're going back in January so I can dig in a little deeper. So if you guys are listening to The Front Porch, you've heard me tell this little story. If you guys in chat have questions that you want me to ask this property owner while I'm out there in January, gather your questions together and send them to me. You can email me at opw.monica@gmail.com. It's in the description, my email address. Shoot me an email with some questions you want me to ask this property owner, and I'm happy to ask them. And we can discuss it either on Tex's show or on this show a little bit more because it's an active investigation. It's an active site for, apparently fae activity, but pretty heavily dogman activity too. We didn't have anything happen this weekend. There were some hellacious storms that ripped through that, took my tent and literally threw my tent upside down into a tree. And it sheared off the tops of a couple of trees, sent some trees through Gary's tent and onto his car. And it like snapped Tex's tent poles. Like it splintered his tent pole. Like all of our tents were jacked. It was terrible. So so that's anyway, this past weekend there was a lot of activity. There was a lot of things. It was an interesting weekend. There was a lot going on.
Heck yeah. Oh, shit. Speaking of radioactivity, my buddy gave me a belated birthday gift. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's a radioactive shot glass.
Sweet.
It has uranium in it.
Don't turn into a matchstick girl.
I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical because I'm like, how are you going to sell a uranium active shot glass? But it didn't come in regular packaging. So maybe.
Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm going through chat, seeing if there's anything here.
But there is this, speaking of like what you're saying, so there is a property not too far from my crib that I don't know what the deal is with it, but there's one tree, like they're all dead, but there's one tree in the middle that's like standing, and then 360 degrees around that tree for about, I'd say 2 acres on every side are blown away. Like, remember that one thing that blew up over, it was either Siberia or Russia or whatever.
Oh, the Tunguska blast?
Yeah, and it like just took all the limbs and just, yeah. I got one like right down the road from me.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like, yeah, it's like, what the heck? You know, like, I don't know. I mean, it's on private property, so, you know, I don't know if someone like just was effing around and made a bomb.
Well, it could be a lightning strike too. If the tree's already dead, lightning hits it, it'll blow out. Yeah, if it's a direct strike.
But that's if lightning was real, which it's not.
Of course not. Why would it be? like interstellar space is just a figure of imagination.
It's all BS.
Yeah. The Earth is flat, but somehow hollow at the same time.
Yeah, flat and hollow.
It's a hollow pancake.
Yeah.
And the stars you see at night are the air holes that
they're the reflections.
Overlords have poked in the.
They're reflections of the seventh heavens, and you know, so on and so forth.
Okay.
No, actually, I was watching the new I don't know if you keep up with it, but the Cobra Kai. Like the extension from Karate Kid. But they're on the airplane.
The first season.
Yeah, they're on the airplane on this last season or whatever. And what's his name? He's on the airplane, and it's showing they're in like Barcelona and they're flying to like Los Angeles, and it's like has like a big arch. It goes by Greenland and then over Canada, and he's like he's like, yo, why are we going in a curve over? And the stewardess is like, oh, you mean why are we going with the Earth's curvature? And he's like, yeah, the map says it's flat, so it needs to just go straight. I need to get there as fast as possible. And I was like, yeah.
All right.
It was hilarious. It's fun to joke at yourself whenever
I know
stuff.
So I'm reading the chat. So Grandizer's talking about Faye. So he said, ask Brent Thomas of Paranormal Portal to ask more about Faye, my video on Faye. So I am going to be interviewed by Brent this Sunday on Paranormal Portal.
Cool.
So there you go, Grandizer. I'll be on Paranormal Portal on Sunday. And Brent's pretty cool. He's a sweet dude. He's a nice guy. Let's see. Word of mouth. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up with chat. They're talking about your uranium glass.
Yeah. I'm skeptical to take a shot out of it. I haven't taken a shot out of it yet.
I would be concerned about becoming, again, a matchstick girl. Like, I like my lower jaw where it is.
Right.
Free from holes and solidly placed.
Yeah. But, they were young. So, like, I'm older. So, by the time it catches
It'll
up,
happen faster.
It might not matter.
All I hear is, I'm old. It's going to happen faster. Their young bones took longer to deteriorate. My old brittle crap's going to fall off in a week.
Right. Or it'll be like, what was it? Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, where he's on Sally Forth. And his old bottom jaw. He's like, Sally Forth.
Okay, so Monica and Joe, you talk about government conspiracies, moon landings. Did it happen or no?
Never happened.
And why or why not? I could have already told you Joe would say no.
Never happened. Where they didn't fit that big freaking go-kart on that little bitty lander. Never happened. Never happened. That's number one. Number two, who aimed the camera up when they lifted? Because we didn't have that type of technology back then. We didn't have robot technology to be like, oh, we're taking off, so now you just follow the craft up. It was Stanley Kubrick, all 9 yards.
Okay.
That was just me. You could put
stage in LA, right?
Yeah. Ron Howard said he saw it, said he watched it. And, I'll believe Opie over a lot of people.
He saw the moon landing get filmed.
Yeah, him and his brother said that there was an interview where he said that him and his brother, they were in the catwalks watching the moon landing get filmed. So there's a bipartisan conspiracy on it. So part of it was that it was staged and filmed just in case that it was a failure, so that they would have B-reel, type of footage, and so they could make it look like a success if it actually went to crap. But but it actually did go through, and so they spliced in pieces back and forth. So that's why you got the flag waving and all the other stuff like that. That's one belief about it. The other is that no, it didn't happen at all. It was completely staged. And then the other was that none of it was staged and it's all really real. But yeah, I just had, I don't know. I have my own, and I'm not going to try to persuade anybody on it. I just don't buy it. And
buy it.
I don't buy it. Don't look it. Won't do it.
Ain't gonna do it. Yeah. So I see both sides. I do. Why did we go there and never really go back? That doesn't make any sense. The ratio of Earth to Moon seems off to me. Looking back on Earth, I will say it's larger than the moon appears from our planet, ratio aspect, but it's not as large as I would have expected it to be.
Yeah, you're talking about the pale blue dot picture or whatever. Or it's called Earthrise, right?
No, I'm talking about them. Well, maybe it is Earthrise. Hell, I don't know. But I mean, it's big. It's larger than the moon looks like from Earth, right? So standing on the moon, looking back at Earth, that's larger, which I would expect. But it's not. I would expect it to take up the whole view screen. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would expect to be considerably larger, considering the proximity and the size difference.
Yeah. No, I agree. The one that got me was, okay, so if you look at the moon landings, they're shot of Earth, and then you look at the recent, I guess it was like within the last 5 years, the China one where they went from on the dark side of the moon, like the moon's like this big, and the Earth's like that compared to it. Mm-hmm. And then whenever you look at the Apollo, you know, Earth's like, you know, it's only a half of an Earth, but it's like that compared to the edge. So it's like, which one? You got to pick one or the other. Same with the flat earthers. Like they do the same thing. They're like, oh, look, you can see the sun inside the clouds. You can see clouds behind the sun. But then they go into the Earth and moon when it's in the blackness of the firmament. And it's you know, thousands of feet, if not multiple thousands of feet of the surface of, or the clouds of the Earth. So it's like, you got to pick one. Like, we can't argue both sides here. There's no way. You know.
You're going to have to show that to me.
Okay, again.
Okay, again?
No, I said, okay, I can.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, again. I'm like, when did you show that to me?
No, I never showed.
Cough up the proof, dude.
Yeah.
Cough it up. Okay. So Morgan wants to know, do y'all think some fae are actually good or all mischievous? I think that there are good and bad fae, but I think they're all sticklers for rules and loopholes. Like, I don't trust them. I don't think they're all out intentionally to get you all the time, but I don't trust them. Do I want fae lurking around my house?
I'm good on all that.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, people have made deals with them and come out pretty sweet. Consider the Elf on the Shelf toy. I'm not kidding. Consider that. Yeah. You know, you make a pact with the fae, like I can get you like into a lot of houses. I can get you access into homes. I can get you a lot of power through belief of children, which is pretty powerful. And in return, I want some moolah. Like, seems like a fae deal. The old Elf on the Shelf. What do you think, Joe?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. When it comes to fae and stuff, like I don't pretend to be an expert, but when you look at kind of like when we talk about like Bigfoot and stuff like that, there's too much folklore and coming from too many different sides to disagree with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not feasible to go, there's no way that's possible whenever you got all these multiple people talking about it from multiple locations, from multiple times, from multiple, you know, years and years apart, and that aren't even communicating with each other. Mm-hmm. You know, so to me, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's you can't kick it out of bed at all.
Well, I mean, they've been around us for a long time. So there's stories of fae that go back forever. Like,
right.
forever.
Yeah.
You know, and what they are, I don't know. I forget. It might have been Kodega that asked me, like, what are they?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was like, I think they're, you know, creatures that live in a parallel universe dimension, call it what you want. Because, again, you guys are going to get sick of listening to me say this. I believe in parallel dimensions. Like,
Yeah.
stacked like this, however you want to look at it. Linear, vertical, they're right there. And these beings just have the ability to hop in and out. I don't know how, but that would explain how people that go into Fae experience time variations.
Right.
Right? Because you're no longer in this plane of existence. You're no longer in this realm. So you're going to have that time variance.
And there is a definite portal. There's a definite spot. I mean, not necessarily a portal to most people, but there is a point where you go through that tree or whatever, and now you're in their world. So that's quote unquote portal, right? So yeah. So I mean that logic is consistent. There is a point where you're stepping into a different world through a threshold, regardless of what you consider a portal, but through a threshold, and now you're in their world. Also the same thing with like the fairy circles, and, you know, all that. Like, so
I mean, fairy rings, fairy portals, rings are portals. A lot of times mounds will be portals. That they're always associated with the earth, going into the earth. Almost always. I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times they're associated with going down into the earth. Fae is in the earth. Because so at least a lot of the lore I see, like when you go into Fae, it's like a Hobbit thing, the way I look at it, or how it's been portrayed to me. So that's how I see it, is like a Hobbit mound, right? Like a knoll or something. There's a Fae entrance there, like in and out. Not necessarily with like Bilbo Baggins' door, but it's, like it's a mound and there's a definite entrance in there. But there are portals above ground. You see the fairy portals. Like, if check out TikTok or even YouTube, go and type in fairy portals and people will show you. And you'll see what I'm talking about. A lot of times it's arches and trees, it's arches and vines, and it will face a certain way. Let's say you've got a wall of greenery, but if you really look in this archway, beyond the archway, it doesn't match what's facing you, right? So what's in front of you and what's beyond that don't match. So that would be considered obviously a portal. And I will say what's interesting is, have you seen, and I know a lot of people say it's BS, and maybe it is, these people creating videos where they're like, the trees are waving at me. Have you seen that? Where like somebody will walk by and there's really no breeze, but one branch is just like wildly like shaking or something.
Yeah.
That happened to me at Caddo a few weeks ago. That was crazy. And I'm not saying that it wasn't a breeze that maybe I didn't feel. Okay. Like, I'm not going to go like the trees were waving at me. But it was interesting because I was walking down a plankway. There was no breeze that I could feel. I didn't see any of the other limbs shaking or moving, but this one limb, and again, could have been a bird landing on it. I will be reasonable. It could have been a bird landing on it. A squirrel could have just jumped off it, but one of the limbs was just like, I'm not kidding. It was like shaking like this. When I looked over and it was just shaking away. And I was like, what's up, tree? What's up, Cypress? What's up, my friend? And, I walked a few more steps and, it was still shaking. And I was like, and I pointed out to Lucas even, I was like, hey, look, I was like, the trees. I mean, I was trying to make light of it. I was like, the tree's waving at us, I'm sure he was like, okay, Mom. But, things like that, I would relate to potentially relate to Faye.
Right. Okay. So I found two of them just to reiterate. I found these are quote unquote official from Apollo and Chinese far side, but if you look at the ratio, so Apollo, as we all know, Looks like smell. How do I present it? Oh, yeah, I think you have to approve it.
You have to prove what?
Do you see the little video
Oh,
audio thing? Yeah.
there we go.
See, so yeah, so if you're looking at it, you see how small the Earth is compared to the
Yeah,
surface.
see, that's not that the size doesn't make sense to me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then if you go to the recent one where China says that they were on the far side of the moon, you get this.
Hold on.
No, you're good.
Sorry, I was in the middle of typing.
Like, that's the moon. That's the Earth.
Right? Exactly. See, yes, that's why I'm saying like the size difference doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's either one's BSing or the other's BSing, or they're both full of BS. That's where I'm going with it.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, like I said, I can see both sides, but I really can. Like, I want to believe that we're doing this. We're clear. We are. I believe in space. You don't. Mm-mm. So I understand why you would not believe that it happened anyway, because you would have to believe in space for there even to be a moon out there,
right,
or it to have like them two landed on.
Well, I believed in space until the CERN thing, and now see, yeah. Told you I'm a nut bar. Yeah, the whole Mandela effect changed it. We used to live on around Earth with space, and now it's not.
Okay. Well, okay. So you guys, I know y'all know who the Y-Files are. I love the Y-Files because this drives Joe nuts, but I like it that he shows both sides. He shows like he leans into the, well, it's not, it's all government conspiracy. But then he goes back and he's like, okay, well, these are the facts. This is how you explain this. This is how you explain that. Facts. I like that. But he also admits when you can't explain something or when it doesn't make sense, which, he should. You are just reporting facts. That is how it should be. But he went into, and I still need to watch this episode, but he went into the moon and how the moon is supposedly a ship, right? Like an abandoned ship that came to Earth 13 million years ago or some crazy number like that. And there's a tribe in Africa that has a creation legend of the moon. There was a time that the moon did not exist.
Yeah.
And they talk about when the moon did show up suddenly in the sky and how it created like all these crazy tidal changes because it's there and it's causing this ebb and flow with its gravity.
Yep. The time before the moon.
Yes. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, like if you actually have a people or not, I wouldn't say a catalog, but a written piece where they're like, dude, and then we saw this big freaking moon show up. You're like, what? Wait, what? Like, because when you think about it, like, what's the motivation? Okay, like just playing the advocate, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you were an ancient people, what's the motivation to entice you? Because at that point, it's not like it's publicity for a government conspiracy or something like that. You're just a regular dude, and your people are just commenting on the celestials and what's going down. So you have no motive, you know what I mean? So you're just going, yeah, this is what we saw. And yeah, see, this thing just showed up. We don't know where it came from. It was giant. It
just showed up one day. So like one of the theories is it's a derelict spaceship. They talk about how it rang.
Yeah.
Right.
When they
Something with less mass is going to do that. Its composition isn't like the Earth's composition. So the ringing doesn't give me pause as much.
I don't know. I think if
stories interest me, like if you have like an oral history of a time before. I mean,
sorry.
So we've got like, okay, so let's take
oral.
Oh my God. You are 12. So we've got like Native American creation legends where they talk about, how moon came to be, how all different things came to be. So there's always a time before this or that. So you have to consider how old are these stories coming out of Africa? Are they old, like native? Like, do we look at them like I would look at our tribes, like creation stories, or is it something that I should take more literally? Like, I don't. You see what I'm saying? You disappeared. Ugh. I'm just looking at Joe's skull with a crown on it. Let's see. It would be interesting. Am I going to just take on? Okay, so. Okay, so Ace, Monica, where do you think Avalon is located? I really have no idea. Ace, I haven't gotten a lot into like Arthurian legends, so that, I mean, I really wouldn't know where to begin to say where I thought that Avalon was located, because I don't know if it would be like a real place or if it would be like a place beyond a place, like Tir na Nog, which is like the island of, everlasting youth in Irish mythology, Tir na Nog. I don't know if Avalon would be like along those lines. Like, it's not a place that mortals can go. It's a place where like fae and,
interdimensional.
Yeah, we'll call them interdimensional beings. Yeah, a place like that, like the land of forever youth, is what it is.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So my house is on a hilltop that used to be a Native American burial mound. Oh, so my house is on a hilltop that used to be a Native American. That's unfortunate. That doesn't sound like a good time at all. You see stuff all the time. He says, I see stuff all the time. I bet you do. Why we have not gone back to the moon because we were told not to. So Grandizer says that David Scott texts on why we have not gone back to the moon because we were told not to.
Yeah, because so that's okay. So that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, you can have it one way or the other. So, okay, say the whole thing was faked, right? And we just went there and went back and blah, blah, blah. Then there's the whole side step of whenever, what was it, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, whenever they switched over to the medical channel in NASA, and they have the recordings of their, like, Santa Claus is here and they're following us and blah, blah, blah. So that's supposed to be where the aliens were actually following them. Then when he landed the crater, they saw these big motherships on the edge of the craters. And so that's supposed to be like a hidden thing within NASA, right? NASA. And so it's like, okay, well, what is it? So if we're just faking it, then why make up the side story of aliens and then them showing up and going, hey, don't come back, blah, blah, blah. And then also the hidden expeditions in the later Apollo expeditions that didn't happen, where they found all the alien structures on the dark side of the moon, including the crystal castles and crystal towers and all that. So if it didn't happen, why make up the facade of the side story? But if it did, then why let it be leaked so easily?
Right.
So to me, it's kind of like a 3-card Monty, right? So like if you keep throwing in a bunch of extra movements, then no one's going to know what the real piece is. You keep throwing multiple distractions about it and throw in, but this goes with anything, not just the moon landing, same thing with like we were talking about earlier with the weather manipulation. You throw in, oh no, it's just contrails and blah, 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 or, and then it turns out, well, we've been seeding clouds, and you confuse people left and right until where they don't even know which way is up or down.
Well, there's partial truths, right? Because the best lie has a little bit of truth in it.
Right, exactly.
Right. So there's partial truths in everything. I mean, we've been talking about seeding clouds for a long time. I don't think seeding clouds is anything that's been a big secret. It's to what degree is it being done and what's being put in there with it. Right. And what are contrails? Like it's interesting because over the weekend, I don't know how to feel about contrails. I don't know how I feel about contrails. Like, I don't know if it's just conspiracy talk or if there's really something behind it.
Well, there's Kim and Con. So contrails, what they used to tell us is that it was just condensation created, right? But condensation will evaporate quickly. Like it's not going to leave those big streaks.
Yeah, they don't stay. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I remember one time we were at the Gathering of the Juggalos, right? This is in the middle of the Shawnee Forest and on the border between Illinois and Kentucky. And like we're way out there. Like you have to drive 2 hours before you can get like cell phone service. So you're way out in the middle of the forest, like on the edge of the river between Illinois and Kentucky and the lower half of Illinois. And it was like a Saturday night and they literally laid like it looked like a checkerboard pattern over the whole thing. Everybody got like sick. Everyone had like a depressive mood. Like it affected the entire concert. And there's close to 15 to 20,000 people there. But there's no other reason for it, because there's nothing going on in that section of the state. So everyone was like looking up and they're like, dude, see what they're doing, and then they ended up calling it the gathering sickness because everybody that went back home was like sick for at least a week, so that.
So Kim,
yeah.
See, Kim and Con to me are the same things. Like I very rarely do I see the contrails that evaporate anymore. I see
chemtrail, right? Because condensation versus chemical.
So it was so interesting because so over the weekend, and again, I don't know how I feel about any of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Joe, but I just, I see the stuff not evaporating, but science, I don't know enough about it to have like, a solid opinion about it. So, but well, I was out there with Tex et al. Over the weekend. I happened to look up on the one night that wasn't completely overcast and storming like hell. And I was like, oh, look, there was an X, a chemtrail X that was floating like towards us and kind of over us. And, you know, Tex isn't one like to just go for, you know, broke with the conspiracy theory things either.
Right.
He was like, he's like, you know, I don't know how to feel about the trail, like chemtrails, contrails. He goes, I sure don't like having a big X floating over where I am.
Right.
He goes, I feel like the final scene in Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, well, I don't remember that.
And see, there's a weird one out here. So, and I've showed my oldest son this because every time we drove home, it never fails. There is because usually they go lateral, right? Like you'll see them, you know, stripe the skyscape or whatever. But there's one that goes over the Austin Bergstrom International Air Force Base, which used to be the Air Force Base, but now it's the International Airport, that goes straight vertical. And it looks like a freaking comet. Like, and it's almost dang near every day. And I'm like, dude, why is that? And I'd show him every day. I'd be like, dude, look right over there. And he's like, yeah, what is that? You know, and I'm like, it's not a natural cloud formation. Like, there's no way that there's this straight stripe that goes vertical right above the same spot, same place every day at the same time.
Right.
You know? So what is that? Now we get back to the nitty gritty, right? So is it an actual, could it be a weather manipulation that's keeping above the airport, keeping everything, you know, aligned so that it's safe for planes to come in and out, so that certain, you know, cold fronts or wind fronts don't affect, you know, the planes landing and taking off. You know, could that be? Yeah, maybe, you know, or could it be something more nefarious? Now, a conspiracy mind would go, it's more nefarious, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or could it just be like, no, we're just making sure the airport's good for calmer weather so that we could have, you know, planes. Right.
Because I know I have calm weather when my plane's landing.
Right, exactly. so that goes to where, you know, the logical or illogical mind will take you. You know, so if you want to be the tinfoil hat wearing dude that goes, you know what they're doing, man, or it's like, no, we're just keeping stuff. We know how to put certain amount of aluminum, magnesium into the air to make, you know, a lower level pressure to where it's easier for planes to fly in and out. You know,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So there's, you know, when it comes to all those, there's a bunch of variables. You know, I believe personally that whether it's what they're up to versus what we think or perceive, and then how we feel about it, dictates how people speak about it.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
Sweet.
It could be like the fluoride in the water thing. Is it really good for your teeth, or are they trying to poisonous me? You know?
Population control.
Yeah, exactly.
I can go off on that, and I have like very strong personal opinions about that. So I want to switch gears because I'm going to go down the list of things people are saying in the chat.
Right.
This is listeners' night. Ace Banner wants to jump back over to Tiernanog, right? We were talking about that a hot second ago. And he says, because, you know, I was talking about how I think that Avalon might be on the same plane as Tiernanog, where it's something where like mortals can't go to. I'm not big on Arthurian legends. Like, I haven't delved into that, so I don't know a lot about like where Avalon is supposed to be, but perhaps it could be somewhere like Tirnanog where we can't just walk into it. We're not allowed to. We have to be brought there by somebody from there. Kind of like Fae, right? You go into Fae, and that's what the land is called, like the land of Fae. Do I think that's where the Fountain of Youth is? Because Tirnanog is the land of everlasting youth. Sure, could be. I think Ponce de Leon would be pretty PO'd because he was barking up the wrong trees here in Florida and the Carolinas looking for the Fountain of Youth. But yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. People are taken there by inhabitants of that particular plane or land, and they're given the ability to be young. But here's the trick. So in Tirnanog, you stay young, but you only stay young while you're there. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, while you're there. And I'm trying to remember. So there's a very famous tale about, I'm going to butcher this, a king or a knight, right? And he falls in love with a Fae girl, somebody from Tirnanog, and she takes him back, right? He's immortal in a land that he does not belong in. And as long as he stays with her there, and he's fine, and he stays young, and time passes there differently than it passes in human realms, all right? And as time goes by, he misses his family, of course, and he wants to go back to see them. He laments. And she tells him, okay, you can go back and see them, but you've got to stay on this horse. You can't let your feet touch the earth. Or it's not going to be a good thing. And I'm trying to remember because I read this so long ago. Anyway, he goes back. He's overwhelmed because I want to say his family is either aged or gone, right? Because he spent time there, which didn't seem like much to him, but it was quite some time in the real world. And he dismounts the horse, and the spell is broken upon touching the earth of this realm because he had adapted to Tirnanog, and the youth that was granted to him in the other realm leaves him, and he ages rapidly and dies.
Right.
So in a manner of speaking, it's a fountain of youth, but at a cost in a limited time. Like with not a limited time. If you follow the rules, you've got a set of rules you've got to stay within. You've got parameters, right? You've got to, he couldn't dismount the horse. He could only stay in this realm for a certain amount of time, I want to say, and he had to get it, like, hightail it back to Tirnanog. So none of that happened, and he ended up croaking.
See, that's very interesting, because if you relate that to Einstein's theory of relativity, right? If you're on a ship and the closer you get towards the speed of light, you age more so from your original destination. So if you think of like the horse as the ship, right? If you were to get off of it, even though you could, be around the same, your original, not destination, but your original place of origin, then you would continue to be youthful. People on the earth would age more than you and faster than you. But if you were to, say, displace from said spaceship or vessel and put yourself back on Earth, you would instantly age and become basically dust within an instant. And that's like, that's theoretical physics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
crazy.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
So Scott says Moon Eye people are interesting. You want to talk about Moon Eye people? You know about Moon Eye people? I can tell you about Moon Eye people.
I've been moon-eyed a lot in my life. Shut up.
Have you been press hammed? That's Texas family. The old pressed ham.
The old pressed ham.
The story of Monica getting mooned while doing like 70 or 80 on the outer loop of Houston. I was impressed with that man's skills. That's all I'm saying. I wasn't offended nearly as much as I was impressed with his ability to drive a truck and moon me at the same time. He just really wanted me to see his butt.
You know, hey. Some of us have small goals. Some of us have bigger ones.
I mean, that was a pretty lofty goal, I must say. And he executed it very well. Like the truck stayed in its lane and didn't cause a major pileup. I mean, you dropped pants, maintained speed and lane while sticking your butt against the back window of your whatever the heck it was. It was just some kind of truck.
Right. Cruise control.
Didn't have back seat.
Cruise control, maintaining lane, and becoming the great cornholio all in the one.
Yeah, I guess so. Like I said, I was like, that's impressive, sir. Like, those are some skills. Cornholio. Should have thrown a roll of toilet paper at him.
There you go.
There's some TP for your bunghole.
TP for your bunghole.
So, all right, Moon Eye people. Yes, Moon Eye people are cool. So the Moon Eye people are a race of people that lived in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, out around Fort Mountain, actually, which is where I have spent some time in Georgia. I love Fort Mountain. It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's very close to Blue Ridge, if you're familiar with Georgia. And this race of people were known to the Cherokee, and they kind of like didn't get along, right? And these Moon-Eyed people were called the Moon-Eyed people because they could not stand the sunlight. They could only come out at night, and they couldn't even come out at a full moon because that light was too bright for them. So they were tall. They lived in the caves. They lived underground. And yeah, they were called the Moon Eye people because they only came out at night. And the Cherokee went to war with them and eventually figured out their weakness for the moonlight. Like they attacked, ended up driving them off. I don't think they wiped them out entirely. I want to say they drove them off to the west. I cannot recall specifically why the Cherokee were like GTFO dudes.
Because they always were.
I don't remember the Cherokee being particularly nasty.
Yeah, no, they're mostly hunter-gatherers, but you know,
well, I mean, warlike. Like I don't like the Apache would just like F you.
Yeah.
I don't recall the Cherokee being like that. You know, but for whatever reason, they didn't want the Moon-Eyed people in their territory, and they promptly evicted them during a full moon and drove them out west. So that is the story of the Moon Eye people. And the Moon Eye people have been there since before the Cherokee showed up. So they were like original to the mountains, which, I mean, if we really stop and think about it, the Appalachian Mountains are some of the oldest land in the world. I mean, we're talking Pangea. Old, like this land's been around for a hot minute, above sea level. Let me put it that way. What?
Nothing.
Did I say? What did I say?
Nothing. No, that is
gesture. Did I do something like what?
No. I you know, yeah. No, but no, that I was actually thinking about what Ace Banner said. Are they the first vampires? one of the things that always got to me, and what you're talking about with the moon-eyed people, that always kind of like struck me weird. Is like, so if the moon is actually reflecting sunlight, right? Then
off of Venus and hitting some swamp gas.
no,
flashy thing.
No, Jeebus H. Crivis. No, like if it's a reflection, it'd be like the same as putting a mirror to the sun and hitting a vampire with it. Like they would not want a full moon, right? Because it's a reflection. It's the ultimate reflection of, sunlight bouncing back on them, right?
Okay,
so
I see where you're going with that. Okay.
Yeah,
it's not just it's like bright light.
Right. Yeah. it's UV.
It's the cleansing of the sun.
Yeah, we're gonna die. Okay. So yeah, there's no vampires walking around in the full moon going blah blah blah.
Don't say blah blah blah. Pennsylvania. I do not say blah blah blah.
I do not say blah blah blah.
I love Hotel Transylvania, you guys. Like, I love
Hotel
Transylvania. I pretend like the last one never happened because that's about the stupidest thing. So there's like 3 Hotel Transylvanias.
Yeah, was the last one when they're on the cruise?
No, I like the cruise one. The cruise one in my mind.
Oh, the last one where they swap.
Yeah, where he turns into a monster that's not even a monster. It's just a plushy toy. I'm too alive. Give me a break. So.
But yeah. But no, that one always got to me. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, that's legit. Yeah. That's legit.
Because if you ever read Anne Rice's The Mummy, so like The Mummy was pretty much the opposite of the vampires in Anne Rice's world, and I think that's how it got originally came back, was because moonlight, like the tomb it was buried in.
Mm-hmm.
A full moon, they were like trying to excavate it, and the beams from the full moon started waking it up, and then the next day the actual sunlight came in, because it's exactly the opposite of a vampire. Sunlight makes it stronger, darkness makes it weaker, so the only way they could put the mummy down was to entrap it within darkness away from the sun, so it would never be able to wake up again.
Iron Maiden, a lot of chains, deep ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said iron box. I don't know why I said Iron Maiden specifically. That sounds kind of gruesome.
Dude, now when it comes to give them the Iron Maiden all day long.
Was the Mummy book pretty good? I never read that one.
Oh, it was great.
Was it gruesome? Was it?
Yeah, it is.
Was he a bad mummy?
Just like all Anne Rice's stuff, there's a whole lot of romance to it. I think
romancing the mummy.
Yeah, romancing the mummy. He ends up finding Nefertiti and bringing her back.
Well, she was like the most beautiful woman that ever lived. I'm sure a lot of.
Yeah, no, not by history standards, but anyway.
Well, back then she was.
Yeah, by fantasy standards. No, actually, she was very less than mediocre as far as history goes. Like, yeah, she was not what they said she was.
Listen, like, I get it. She was supposedly one of the most beautiful women that ever lived. Now, when we recreate her bust based on her bones.
Well, no, what they say is that it wasn't, when they're talking about beauty, they're actually talking about wealth and power and not actual physical beauty. Like she was the most powerful, and therefore,
but she buck-toothed and cross-eyed.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
but she had some coin.
Yeah, she had bread, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there, bro.
She had some gold tablets.
Yeah.
That's what she had. She had some horses and slaves and gold tablets. So she's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. I'll call her whatever she wants.
Kind of like, the 20-year-olds with the 70-year-old dudes.
Yeah.
I love him.
Anna Nicole Smith,
He's
right
the
there.
Greatest. He's so handsome.
I love him.
Yeah, you're talking about the wad of cash that's in his bank account. That's what's handsome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Serenade that cash, ladies. I got your number.
I would have been right up there and be like, babe, you're so hot. Love you so much.
Sure. I don't believe it. I'm not rich and I don't believe it. Anyway, I wouldn't believe it. If I came into money and heard that, it'd be like, I double don't believe it now.
Yeah. I don't believe it, but I'll take it.
My husband says it to me and I'm like, you're a liar.
Lies.
Lies. You say it because you have to.
Here's your allowance. Now go. Now go.
Be gone, be gone. Let's see. Okay, I've got one more here. Grandizer. Monica, you or Joe mentioned the Mandela effect. Your thoughts on Brian Stavely? His coverage of the Mandela effect is incredible. I don't know who that is. Do you know, Joe?
I know this of which you speak, but I don't know enough to comment particularly on it. So, yeah, that was one of the first rabbit holes I ever went down, and it's so freaking old to me that there was a new one I was going to talk to you about, but I can't even remember what it is. Because I showed you like the 18 van one. Remember that? I sent you a picture of it where the 18 van's not all black. It has like a gray top. Yeah.
Oh, but okay. I got to take a minute. Hold on. Speaking of vans, you know what I saw on the highway the other day? And I am not even kidding. I saw the friggin' Mystery Machine.
Sweet.
Like the Mystery Machine. Like full on paint job van, the Mystery Machine. It was a dog grooming truck.
Nice.
I was like, dude, I would hire you. I don't even have a dog. It's so awesome. So anyway, sorry. Back to the A-Team and the Mandela effect.
No, yeah. There's a bunch of them that are recent, but I don't pay too much homage or attention to it because I'm already sold on it. But yeah, in Texas, actually, not to sidetrack, but in San Antonio, somewhere in Central Texas and up towards where you live, there is the Echo One, the DeLorean from Part 2 and Back to the Future, and what is it?
Ecto One, the DeLorean, and another famous car, I'm guessing. Like Love Bug.
No, it's cooler than that.
Dude, Herbie's cool.
Herbie was all right.
Shut up.
That's my
childhood. I love Herbie.
But it was man, what was it? The Ecto One, the DeLorean. Oh, and the Maximum Overdrive truck.
The goblin face thing.
Yeah, they all live in Texas and all very close to us.
So on my way out to Caddo a few weeks ago, I drive through these podunk towns to get to Jefferson. And what did I see while driving through one particular podunk town as in like farmland, house, farmland. There was a house with a carport and a DeLorean up on cinder blocks.
Nice.
So there it is. That's a DeLorean from Part 2 was on cinder blocks in a BFE town.
Well, yeah.
In Texas.
So whenever the DeLorean factory closed, just quick breezy fun fact, they moved all the parts and all the pieces out to a factory in Houston. So you can literally pay about 45 grand and have a DeLorean custom made with all brand new parts built for you. And yeah,
I would spend money on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the one that's in San Antonio, because we've had it out at the gas station, it has all the gadgets and lights and even the hoverboard.
It's got the Cuisinart in the middle for the
it's the flux capacitor. Yeah, it's got the whole 9 yards. It even has the old time clock from Part 3. Yeah, it's pretty dope. I got pictures. I'll send them to you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to see the Ecto one. I'm digging that.
It's dope. I've seen it. I've seen it on the back of a trailer, like cruising down I-35, and I was like, "Dude, Ecto one!" Yeah, had the whole, all the hookups and everything. That was pretty cool.
That is pretty sweet. Are you ready to call it a night?
Sure, whenever you are.
You want to talk about more conspiracy theories? Oh, no, that's tomorrow night. That's
tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that tomorrow.
We got to dive into some conspiracy theories, and I will try to keep up.
Oh, but yeah, so if you get that job in Austin, you got to come check out that the horror book place that I sent you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes from Austin.
So if we get the job in Austin, if I'm assigned it, I might not be, but if I'm assigned to that job, then yeah, I'll hit you up. I'll call Turner. I'll hit Josh up. And we can all, well, I mean, I don't know if Josh cares about haunted bookstores, but yeah, I want to go to that bookstore. So Joe sent me a video that was pretty sweet of a bookstore down in Austin. It's got a pretty cool entry, but it only sells horror books. That's it, just horror stories.
Yeah, so you go, the entrance is on the street level and you go down into the basement level, and it's nothing but horror books, period. And they have a whole Stephen King section and some author I never heard of. Let me see if I can find the name of it.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was dope. I didn't know it existed, and I was talking to Jen about it, and apparently one of the chicks she works with is from Lockhart, and apparently it's pretty new. Let's see, Lockhart horror bookstore. There we go. Yeah, it's on Main Street in Lockhart, and it is called Haunt Happy Books.
There you go.
And you can find them on Instagram, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, but it's really cool environment. It's you got to go down in the basement, which is dope. You know, so it has the whole experience.
That is awesome. We're going to have to check that out for sure.
Yeah. Most definitely. Grab some barbecue, go head out to Lockhart.
Well, Lockhart's known for the barbecue, right?
Well, Lockhart is the capital barbecue for Texas, or used to be back in the Gap. But I can point you out to a few other places, including the gas station. Not plugging it. Um, that has certain ones are better. So in Lockhart, there's a place called Chisholm Trail. Best freaking sausage you ever had in your life. Like, and I'm not being immature about it. Because they have like they grass feed their own cattle, and it is amazing. Blacks in Lockhart used to hold the title. Some still say it does, and then some say that what is it? Franklin's in Austin holds the title now. I still like the gas station. I think the gas station is competitive with them as far as brisket goes.
Okay.
But yeah. But when it comes to sausage, Chisholm Trail and Lockhart, one of the best. I think that's on Main Street as well. It's on 183 and Highway 20. Dope.
Sweet. Sorry, I am trying to find the book recommendation for the cover. I've got the book. And I'm seeing two of them, and I'm a little confused because it's not matching what I have. Because you guys know that I like to match. Okay, so we're going to use this one. So, are you going to be ready with a follow-up for my book recommendation? Like a movie recommendation or...
Oh, yeah, I got one.
Okie dokie. Let me... Wrong one. That's the one I want. So our book recommendation for heute Nacht tonight is Who Goes There? So this is the book that the movie The Thing is based off of. And if you have not read it, I recommend it. It's not long. I forget how many pages it is. It's not a long read. It's a pretty short read by, typical standards. I want to say it's goodness, like it's less than 500 pages for sure. It's not going to take long to get through. If you have an audio book, I want to say it's only like an hour and a half in audio if you listen to Audible. But it's I don't have to tell you what it's about. It's what The Thing is based off of, but it doesn't follow The Thing like to a T. So if you are a fan of the movie The Thing, I highly recommend you check out Who Goes There, because this is what inspired them to make that awesome movie that we all love. And I love it. Okay, so yeah. So the original Thing from Another World, right? The black and white one, which was my father's, and I love my daddy. Like, he's been gone for a while now. I miss him all the time, but The Thing from Another World was his favorite horror movie, right? And every time I watch it, I think of him. And then John Carpenter's The Thing was so awesome with its special effects. It was gross and interesting. I mean, even though it like knocked off the dogs, and I've got the whole, don't hurt the animals or the kids rule for my horror movies, still, I loved it. Like, the effects were great. And the prequel that was there that talks about the Norwegian expedition that we know nothing about going into John Carpenter's movie. We know nothing about it. And all you see is the helicopter shooting at a dog, coming at the American. Yeah. The American.
Everyone thought it was a remake, but it wasn't a remake. It was a prequel.
It's a prequel. So you have to look at it from that perspective. It's not a remake. It's a prequel. It's telling you what happened to the Norwegian team to get you to the John Carpenter movie. So it's what happened prior to the John Carpenter movie. I like all of them. I love the book. So if you like the movie, check out Who Goes There.
Dig it. So yeah, I guess this is just right off the cuff, but I watched it last night, and it's a new one, which I don't like new horror movies at all, but I'll give them a shot. And I ended up watching Abigail last night, and there are some generic parts in it. There are some parts that make you go, eh. But what freaking horror movie doesn't? You know, like none of them are absolutely perfect. I can think of a few. Silver Bullet. You know, there's a few that you can't argue with any scene or script wayward of the movie. But all in all, it was absolutely freaking on point. And it's one of those that keeps you guessing, kind of like The Thing. And now that we're talking about it, no, I thought it was good. I mean, anybody can disagree. That's fine, but it's one of those that makes you. So the main antagonist in it keeps you guessing on who's who and what's what, and the person you think that might be, might not be, and then all of a sudden it is, and you know, back and forth, you know. So I thought it was good, and I think it's worth a watch.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So let me make a correction to what I said earlier in the show. So when I was talking about like all the stuff that went over this weekend, I think I said my mother-in-law passed. I didn't mean to say my mother-in-law passed away. It wasn't my mother-in-law. She will be very shocked to hear that she passed away. It was my stepmother that passed away. Yeah.
I think you said stepmother.
Oh, did I? Okay. Because I see a lot of people saying mother-in-law in the chat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's gonna she's gonna be like, I did. No, it was, yes. Thank you everybody for the condolences. I appreciate it. But somebody's okay. So I keep hearing about Brian Lumley. Have you read any of his books, Lumley's books?
I can't. I'd be lying if I said right off the cuff that I did. I might have. Like, it's kind of one of them things. If you started telling me about it, I might be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
See, I haven't read it, but I hear a lot about it in the chat when we're talking about books. His name always comes up, and everybody's recommending it. So I think I'm going to have to, on my next go round with Audible, have to get a Lumley book and check it out so I can report back for everyone. I mean, if everybody in the chat seems to like it, then I would say maybe we can check them out. But I don't like to recommend books that I haven't read. So I'm going to have to read one and then tell y'all. But I did get a compliment tonight. Maddie texted me from the airport. I don't know where she was going, but she sent me a DM and she was like, hey, Monica, I'm like 5 chapters into the last book that I recommended, the haunted, I always want to say haunted trail ride. It's a haunted tour, a haunted forest tour. She goes, I'm like 5 chapters in. And she said, oh my gosh, you were not kidding about it being like crazy gory and like fast paced. She's like, you weren't kidding. She goes, but I love it. I can't put it down. She said that she had to like stop herself from like gasping out loud while she was like sitting at the airport waiting for her flight. So I was like, yeah, it's a good one. So it's Maddie approved. She liked it.
So
yeah. So I'm glad that, you know, I'm getting some good books out to people and books that maybe otherwise would be overlooked. So glad.
Hell yeah.
Hells yeah. So, okay, we're going to wrap it up tonight, everybody. We really appreciate y'all coming back out.
Yeah.
For listeners night. Just remember, next week there is no show since it's Thanksgiving. So y'all enjoy your time with your family. Joe and I don't know if we'll be doing a show next week since it's the day after. Not sure.
Next Friday, we'll play it by ear. I'm definitely going to put one on tomorrow. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But next week, we'll play it by ear. We'll see how everybody's too drunk on turkey, And if everyone's like, yeah. I mean, you know how much sweet potato pudding I've had? I'm not doing that.
Thanksgiving horror stories. I mean, that's just like really I ate too much and couldn't move. That's my
Thanksgiving was a horror story.
Yeah, the original Thanksgiving was it's a pretty legit horror story for the people that were going through it.
Squanto was a whole horror story within itself.
I mean, some starving white people land on the shores, and the indigenous race is like, hey, morons, you got to plant stuff in the ground to live here.
Thanks, bro.
Here's some corn. Try to remember to do that next time.
Right.
Did they remember?
No.
Pro tip, they didn't. Yeah. So we'll see if we can scratch up some Thanksgiving horror stories. I don't have any off the top of my head. I'll go searching for some. But y'all, thanks again. I appreciate everybody. Y'all are awesome. And thanks to Scott and BMR for their awesome $10 donations. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it for recognizing me getting monetized. I like that. I like how that monetized. That sounds cool. So y'all, until next time, it's me and Mr. Breezy with the Breezy Speakeasy. So go check us out tomorrow night, where we're going to be talking all kinds of conspiracy theories. It's going to be 100% Joe talking about conspiracy theories and Monica struggling to keep up with them all. So make sure you tune
rolling your eyes.
Yeah. Well, I don't roll my eyes at all of them. I told you. I'm
just playing.
I believe in some of them. Okay, let me put it this way. I wasn't a conspiracy theory person for a long time, but now I'm like, yeah, I think I see a lot of it. Yeah. I still don't believe the earth is a pancake that is somehow hollow on the inside, though. So you're going to have a hard time convincing me of that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll grow on you.
We'll wear you down, lady. So until tomorrow night, y'all, peace out.